job to prove Krystal wrong.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon and that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacular?
Yeah, please, for the love of fuck, take the L. I don't think you've been more wrong about anything in your entire career.
So you're right. Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Krystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist and say, oh, I was a sucker. Those guys were liars. All they want to do was increase the Pentagon, have more wars, more corruption, and they never held Trump accountable. We waited 4 long years for them to hold him accountable, and all they did was kiss his ass and show that they don't really believe in freedom. They said all this stuff about freedom, but they never meant it. They said all this stuff about drain the swamp, but they never meant it.
Holy fuck.
They said all this.
Unconstitutional military action represents a dark new chapter of the endless betrayals that now threaten to plunge the world deeper into chaos. Mamdani, an outspoken critic of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, especially American support for the Israeli assault on Gaza, argued that the attack on Iran could have consequences for New Yorkers. In a city as global as ours, the impacts of war are felt deeply here at home. I'm thinking of New Yorkers with loved ones in harm's way, he explained. While Donald Trump bears immediate responsibility for this legal escalation, these actions are the result of political establishments that would rather spend trillions of dollars on weapons that lift millions out of poverty, launching endless wars. This is true. Like America, I hear all the time about how you're the richest nation in the world. And then you start looking up the stats on everything from healthcare to education to literacy rates. And you're just like, all this money is being vacuumed up and put into the hands of approximately 6 white dudes. You know, they get half of everything. And then it's like, well, what exactly are they giving to society? Oh, they fuck with our brain chemistry all day because they basically found a way to monetize our social interactions with one another. So they just basically play with our serotonin and dopamine to get us as addicted as possible to their shit. And now they're just wanting to make us all believe that everything's fake. That seems to be the ultimate end goal of all these projects. They're like, we need AI integration into all of our systems. Meta is now proudly introducing AI integration. You'll never know whether a picture is real or not. You'll never know if a video is real or not, or even if a text is real or not. This is what the future holds. If you can't discern reality from fiction, then you can believe anything. They're all doing this now, and they're all accepting it. It just seems to be a valid model going forward. If you go onto TikTok right now, it's AI slop. You scroll through 2 or 3 videos, and all of a sudden it's one of those like, this really sad story is true. A cat, unfortunately, lost his parents, but in a miracle, a piglet came along to become its new father. Here's actual footage of it. And the only people I think that are mass being corrupted by this so far are unfortunately old people who are having their brains completely scrambled by AI slop. If they're going on Facebook, they are sharing pictures that are just ungodly. All right, they are an affront to God. This is the shit that gets you banned from the kingdom of heaven style stuff. But it's just like, but it looks sad and it evokes emotion. And it's like that. Well, that's the point. But bread man isn't real. The man made of bread who saved that child's life using a kitten to save the dog or whatever the fuck you are posting right now is just not real. You know that because it basically breaks all the laws of thermodynamics and physics and just can't exist in reality. And you should know that. At the very basic, you should know that there is no such thing as a bread man. A man made of bread come to life magically who is saving kittens. And right now this is a video that I know it looks real. It can be convincing. The technology's come a long way, but it's not real. Okay, yes, I'm sorry to say this. Bread man is not real. They are not going to fall for things like the trains will run on time. That Trump was an anti-war candidate. They did anti-war commercials. They said that the Democrats are going to get you perpetually in forever wars, that they are the war hawks, and that the only real anti-war solution to any of this happens to be Donald Trump. And everyone who has existed for the past little while and has also known Donald Trump to be the opposite of that was like, well, that's bullshit. But Cenk kept holding on to this thread, this dream, this vision, that apparently pundits who have said out loud that they happen to be anti-war, all right, whether it be Matt Gaetz, the alleged serial pedophile, Marjorie Taylor Greene, etc., they've come forward and been like, we are the anti-war right, we are America first, we are Christian nationalists, we care about domestic issues, we don't want to be involved in the forever wars in the Middle East, and that includes a handful of other people, the Hodge twins, Charlie Kirk kinda was on the fence, he switched immediately, Jack Posobiec kinda was on the fence, he switched immediately, he's pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, pro-Trump. Even the people who were supposed to be anti-war, by the way, they're doing absolutely nothing to stump Trump or stop Trump's war powers. They're just doing virtue signaling online to feel good about themselves. Oh, I'm really anti-war. Yeah, America first, baby. And it's like, all right, well, so there are multiple bills going through in the United States right now. I mean, I'm not even American and I know this. There's bills in the Senate, there's bills in the House that can limit Trump's wartime powers and prevent him from actually waging full-blown and full-scale war on Iran. And as of now, there is literally one Republican signed on to them, and all the rest are Democrats. So where are the anti-war right, I ask you? Because, like, even the pundits, you could say, like, well, I mean, Tim Pool, Vivek, you know, they're not actual politicians. They're pundits with platforms. Charlie Kirk is a pundit with a platform. And wokeness, Jack Posobiec is a pundit with a platform. These are all just pundits. Okay, they can use their platforms. They can start every show being like, we don't want war with Iran. We do not support this. We are the anti-war faction of the right, apparently. It's a thing that really exists in real life. It's truly a real thing. And so, hey, go support these bills. Call your lawmakers, call your senators, call your Congress people. Do everything you can in your power right now to get support for these bills that will limit Trump's power. Nada. Because it's not about that. It's not about defying Trump. There is no such thing as this anti-Trump populist rejection that's going to take place. But apparently, Cenk is still touting this. He's unwilling to take the L. And I saw him tweeting through it and him being like, oh, you know, trying to get the I told you so's out and all this other shit, when he is so critically and crucially and dangerously wrong on this issue, as are all the others, by the way, okay? Every other person, the Glenn Greenwalds, the Matt Taibbis, etc. I do not blame people who felt hopeless. I don't blame, like, say, Palestinian Americans, Muslim Americans, who at the time were like, it really looks like Joe Biden has just an unquenchable thirst for blood, and the guy is just going to massacre everybody in the Middle East before this is over. I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. I can't vote for him. I can't do it. Yeah, okay, I understand the thought process behind that. But to comply in advance for an authoritarian fascist when you know better. And I say he knows better because he said these things out loud. Trump is a fascist. Trump's going to be a fascist. I'm going to run for president because I'm worried about Trump being a fascist. Trump's going to be such a fascist that I need to take your money, run for president, and do this whole thing where it's like, I'm the break glass in case of emergency candidate. Trump's a fascist. He's going to do a fascism. We got to stop this. And then boom, 180. MAGA's a populist movement, and they will not stand for any form of war or the forever wars. That's why Trump is actually going to behave when he's president. And we need to actually, you know, just basically comply in advance and hope that they listen to us. Let's have beers with white supremacists. Charlie Kirk, you available? Marjorie Taylor Greene, anti-Semitic Marjorie Taylor Greene, are you available? These are the anti-war right we need to be aligning ourselves with.
The left and liberals banding together and going through the court system and public pressure. That's it. That's all we've seen.
Is MAGA a fascist movement? Just give me a yes or no.
That's an absurd framing, Kyle. That's
That's when you gotta have the clip compilation. Like, it would not be hard to do unless he's taking the videos down, which I don't think he has because he likes the monetization of them. There's so many videos of Cenk saying Donald Trump's a fascist. He's a fascist. He's gonna be a fascist. I told you he's a fascist. He's gonna be a fascist. He even argued with Anna over this. Where they were trying to talk about like the logistics of what he was doing and whether or not it was authoritarian, and being like, well, I mean, if you're going to be sending, you know, your own troops or against the population of your own people, I mean, that's kind of the calling card of, if nothing else, authoritarianism at the very least, right?
framing.
You can't say that MAGA is fascist. You can't. Wait. You really don't believe MAGA is fascist?
I am against Trump, totally. Okay, but why do you love Trump? Will be the next question. Okay.
Did I ask?
No, it'll be, but no name calling. I'm anti-Trump, but don't call him the mean name. You can't use that word.
Cenk,
okay,
talk
so
about a
now,
straw man. I mean, you're making up stuff I never said. Come
What's
on.
the point of coming on here if I can't answer your
Cenk,
questions?
I'm giving you plenty of time to answer, brother. You're making up stuff about me. I didn't say that.
Okay,
so you want to
Jesus
talk about
Christ,
straw men?
Krystal.
You're
it's
inventing
a
things on the
mistake
spot.
talking to you guys. It's a mistake.
Oh no, did you get called from the beer hangouts? It's a mistake talking to you guys. So let's compile. The list of people who apparently are just two extreme max left. Myself, the Serfs, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigland, now Krystal and Kyle. Apparently just two extreme max left, out to lunch. Yeah, they demand purity from you, and you have to be so pure. It's like, why they call you a Nazi? Never called you a Nazi. There is no such thing as the literal gatekeepers of the left. I'm having profound civil rights disagreements with you publicly. That's what's happening. And you can call it whatever you want. You can be like, well, he's doing the purity testing. I don't say I agree 100% that trans rights are human rights. They call me a Nazi. And it's like, we're having an ideological difference based on, yes, what you feel is acceptable in terms of your limitation of someone else's civil rights as the oppressive force. By the way, we're both cis folks, so at the end of the day, we should probably be listening to trans people on how we are oppressing them and then stop doing that. That would be the fair thing to do in this situation. Historically, that's kind of how this is supposed to go.
Welcome, Cenk Uygur, the Young Turks. We appreciate you joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, oh, you want to explain? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Cenk reached out to Kyle and I this week and said, hey, I think we got some things to talk through. Can I, let's have a conversation. So we said, sure, let's do that. And this kind of follows on the heels of a discussion/debate that you and I had back in December. Where, the launching point, and you can, correct me if you don't think that this is a fair characterization of this conversation, but the launching point was a tweet that you had put out expressing some optimism about the Trump administration. So we can put that tweet up on the screen from Cenk to refresh everybody's memory about where we started. So you said, in November 29th, 2024, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. Even though I was so against the guy who won, I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. So over the course of that conversation, you explained to me that the reason you felt optimistic was really two reasons. Number one, as you say there, the establishment was defeated. And number two, you felt that the elements of the populist right and the bros would hold Trump accountable. And it kind of built to this crescendo.
Which is just so wild because, I don't know how you define the establishment or the elites, but they have coalesced and collectivized more power amongst their own class than ever before. Everything has just accelerated so rapidly. You could not have picked a worse example. The establishment has been defeated. The establishment Democrats, that's the only thing that you could say. Yeah, they were literally defeated in an election.
We actually turned to the camera and said, listen, guys, in a little while, you're going to be able to say whether I was right or whether Krystal was right. Let's go ahead and play that portion as a refresher. That is element number 2.
I want to address something to the audience. Can I?
Sure.
Is this my camera here? Okay, yeah. So right-wing populists, it is now your job to prove Krystal wrong.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon. And that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacular?
So please, for the love of fuck, take the L. I don't think you've been more wrong about anything in your entire career.
So you're right. Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Krystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist and say, oh, I was a sucker. Those guys were liars. All they wanted to do was increase the Pentagon, have more wars, more corruption, and they never held Trump accountable. We waited 4 long years for them to hold him accountable, and all they did was kiss his ass and show that they don't really believe in freedom. They said all this stuff about freedom, but they never meant it. They said all this stuff about drain the swamp, but they never meant it.
Holy fuck.
They said all this anti-war stuff, but they never meant it. We're going to come back.
All true. 100%. No lies detected.
On here in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, and we're going to keep doing a check.
So, Cenk, that was kind of the context of that discussion. And just for the audience and for you, since there's 2 of us and 1 of you, and we don't want to be jumping on all over each other, and maybe Kyle and I have disagreements on things, I thought I would kind of handle the first 30 minutes more or less. Kyle would handle the second 30 minutes. You've got a engagement you've got to go to. Hard out in an hour, so that's the amount of time that we have.
We could do this for 4 hours if we had the time.
I'm sure we could, and it would be painful for all involved. But in any case, we've got a hard out for Cenk in 1 hour. We want to be very respectful of his time. So with everything that's happened in Trump 2.0, do you still feel that original optimism that you expressed at the time, do you still feel that was well-founded?
Absolutely. And part of the reason I wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm being genuine about it. And Krystal, I went back and watched our conversation from back then.
Yeah, me too.
yet you kept saying like things against Trump. And that's why I didn't even think it was a debate. It was a discussion, because I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you on Trump and the Republicans, et cetera. I was talking about the populist right and the independents that voted for Trump, the actual voters. And you saw it in that clip. I don't address Trump. I don't address any Republicans. I address the voters. So what has happened since then? Joe Rogan has come out against what Trump has done with Mahmoud Halil.
Wait, sorry. You started by saying that you're talking about the voters, the MAGA Democrat. You're moving right to pundits. I was talking about the populist movement that is the MAGA supporter that votes for the Donald Trump, but they don't want the forever wars, so they will try and stop Trump if he actually betrays them and does the forever wars, which they are now doing. And again, we're not seeing an overwhelming amount of Republicans demanding Trump be impeached, demanding his wartime powers be rescinded, telling their constituents to support either of the bills in the House or the Senate that could actually limit Trump's ability to wage war on other countries. None of that is happening. But sure, we can move right on to the pundits of Joe Rogan and being like, I mean, Joe Rogan, he's not exactly 100% behind everything Trump is doing, and he is saying some things out loud. So what do you think about that?
With Abrego Garcia, almost all of the MAGA hosts have come out against the war, ranging from Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon. Then you've got the politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got Tim Dillon. You've got, I mean, I'm not sure you could name.
By the way, because he's still doing this, and I guess this is better than just accepting that you were blatantly wrong, I want to bring this up again and reiterate this. It's been 24 hours since the Trump-Vance administration bombed Iran. 52 House members signed on to the Massey-Canna War Brothers resolution. 3 senators support Kane's War Powers resolution. 8 senators signed on to Bernie's No War Against Iran Act. 60 have signed on total so far. Of those, 59 are Democrats. The only Republican so far is the original Republican who did it in the first place, so that they could say that this happens to be a bipartisan bill, but not a single other one has supported either in the House or the Senate. And so all of this manifestation that, they're the anti-war right. You know, have you seen Matt Gaetz? He's going on TV. He's talking very strongly, saying that I don't think we should be going to war for Israel, stuff like that. He says this stuff, and then this is the kind of stuff that he does as soon as Donald Trump starts the war. We've completed our first successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo. Now, yeah, you've already heard this. And then immediately, President Trump basically wants this to be like the Soleimani strike. One and done. No regime change war. Trump, the peacemaker. Where the fuck is the whole, oh shit, yeah, don't ever do this thing. This is the line. This is where I don't want you to cross it, all right? And then as soon as it's crossed, what a surprise. A lot of the names that he was mentioning, people like Charlie Kirk, for example, people like Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson got a massive ass win by, again, doing the bare minimum of journalism against the fucking cretin, creep ass Ted Cruz. And so in that case, it's kind of like, oh, well, I mean, you know, it's Ted Cruz, so yeah. But is he demanding out loud right now that his audience who listens to him, that they call their senators, that they call their House representatives, that they actually actively try and get this blocked? Are they opposing Donald Trump? Are they saying that we need to hit the streets, we need to protest? Because a lot of liberals and a lot of Democrats did when Joe Biden started going full genocide. And you can remember the schism and the conflict that was creating, especially with an election looming on the forefront. But that is people rejecting what their own politicians are doing because they are morally opposed to it. As of right now, you have a bunch of little kids virtue signaling online, being like, I'm America first. I don't want the forever wars. I'm not going to materially do anything to challenge Trump, though. I love what he's doing domestically. I love that he's going after the minorities I hate. So in that case, he's good.
Right-wing MAGA host or independent host that's for the war in Iran. So I'm genuinely curious. Like, are you guys not seeing that, or does that somehow magically not count?
So, Cenk, I have the same question as to whether or not you're on planet Earth. Because, first of all, let me ask you this question. Do you think that Trump 2.0 is better or worse than Trump 1.0?
Trump is irrelevant.
No, he's not irrelevant, because I'll tell you why.
That's
Here's
convenient.
why. You expressed optimism about how all this would go.
Surrounding
and the reason you were optimistic is because, hold on. No, we just saw your tweet, okay? The reason you were optimistic
I can explain the tweet.
Is because you thought these various groups and influencers would hold him accountable. So did they constrain his behavior, for example, when Elon Musk was running around with a chainsaw, slashing Social Security and gutting the federal government and gutting the CFPB. No, we didn't. In fact, we saw Joe Rogan host Elon Musk, not to mention Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Andreessen, to make the case for those things, okay? No accountability there. Did we see them constrain his behavior and hold him accountable?
The Vanguard says, as Cenk insists the MAGA base will turn on Trump over his betrayal, only 13% of Republican voters opposed the strikes on Iran Trump ordered Saturday. Oh. Well, it's coming.
When he launched a crypto shitcoin, the most corrupt scheme in American history, most likely. No, he did it. He's faced no accountability for that. You mentioned some dissent from Rogan on the kidnapping of college students off of college campuses. Is it the right that organized in opposition to that? No, it's the left and it's liberals.
Yes.
The only time that Trump's actions have been constrained at all in this Trump 2.0 era, which is vastly worse than I even expected when you and I had that conversation. I mean, we've got men in hundreds of people in a concentration camp. I didn't see any accountability from the right on that. I don't see any accountability from the right on an American city that is right now under invasion by our own troops, Marines on the ground in the city of LA. No, I don't see any accountability there. I see an administration that, as I predicted, the guardrails are completely off. And the only places where he has been constrained at all is when the left and liberals organized against Elon Musk, Tesla protests, showing up at town halls, etc., made him toxic. He had to be turfed out of the administration. And in the context of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, when you had mass left liberal resistance, even pushing Democratic leaders who were lame and weak to do something, Chris Van Hollen goes down to El Salvador, and the administration did something they did not want to do, which was to bring him back. That is the only time this administration has been constrained. It has had nothing to do with the right, had everything to do with liberals and the left organizing against him.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So you asked about 12 questions. I would love the time to answer it, but you didn't actually answer my question. Do you see a massive MAGA revolt against the war? And I'm being genuine. It's a literal question. Or do you just not see it?
What does he mean by revolt? Again, yeah, it costs Charlie Kirk, and it costs, like, Charlie Kirk was actually so craven about this. He did this whole thing where he had to poll his audience to see where they situate themselves, and now his show is so awkward because he's trying to be America first, but he's not America first. He's just, Trump is benevolent and can do whatever he wants, so he's struggling with that. But yeah, there are some people who obviously effectively had been saying for a very long time that they don't support going to war with Iran, and so that they are going to speak out against this. I mean, that's basically what you're seeing from people like the Hodge twins, for example, who are still consistently talking shit about this. They're fighting with Cat Turd, they're fighting each other online. But again, none of this materially matters if someone is just saying, America first, y'all. America first, y'all. I don't want to go to war with Iran. I am America first. We care about America first. If you're not doing anything, she has the ability to support one of these bills. I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has the ability to advocate for the rest of the Republican Party to support these bills, as does every single pundit that he's messaging. Like when he's like, well, I mean, are you not seeing how Tucker Carlson disagrees with this war? I am not seeing Tucker Carlson effectively doing any kind of strategy that is actually going to hold Trump to account, that is going to limit his power, that is actually going to get people on the streets and effectively trying to protest against Trump from the MAGA side. There are no MAGA protests of Trump taking place. There are no MAGA calls for him to be impeached. There's no MAGA calls for people to hit the streets. I mean, fuck, they're so checked out they didn't even show up for his fucking military parade.
Here's what I can tell you. Okay, Charlie Kirk, your buddy. He has already.
Not my buddy.
He has
Crystal,
already gone. He has already gone. He's already gone from being critical of the Iran war to, guess what? He got a call from the White House. And now what's he saying? Oh, I trust Trump. Trump is the man for this moment. I know he's going to make the right decision.
The exact
Steve
quote
Bannon.
is,
Go
can I
ahead.
give the exact quote?
Yeah.
This is from Charlie Kirk. Quote, we must trust Trump in this situation. Go ahead with Steve Bannon.
So
Steve
you're not
Bannon,
seeing
hold
it.
on, Steve Bannon, put up element number 4. This is the Financial Times today. Steve Bannon says, if the president, as commander-in-chief, makes a decision to do this, the MAGA movement, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Matt Gaetzes, we will fight it up till the end. But if he has more intelligence and makes that case to the American people, the MAGA movement will support President Trump. When Trump says that he gets to
Look at my anti-war right, dog. I'm going to war.
define what America first is, he's right about that. And so when you have Bannon, who also was critical of Elon Musk originally and got a call from the White House and said, cut it out, and he bent the knee, these people time and time again, Cenk, all they do is ultimately when Trump makes a decision, they bend the knee. We are already far enough into this administration to know there has been no constraint on his action that has come from the right. None. And we're in a war with Iran. Okay. We are already in a war with Iran. They didn't constrain him here. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys just spoke for like 8 minutes doing a straw man. Okay. So you make it sound, and this is what's so harmful. You guys make it sound like I'm pro-Trump, and I think that MAGA is just a bunch of angels who are secretly left-wing, and they're going to magically agree with us on every issue. And the minute that Trump does something wrong,
it's so funny that he just said straw man and then is crafting one in real time right afterwards. He's like, allow me to demonstrate what a straw man is by making one before your eyes. No one's saying that. No one is saying that, hey, by the way, the MAGA demographic, the pro-Trump supporters, they are leftists in waiting and that we have to activate them. But you are passing a lie which helps and benefits Trump and the MAGA movement and the pro-war movement, I might add, by trying to convince everyone that they are nationalists, that they will actually actively revolt against President Trump if he crosses a line and pulls them into wars in the Middle East. Trump does that. And there's crickets. There's no material change. Like, yeah, sure, Steve Bannon can be like, we don't like what we're seeing, but we're gonna wait and see. Okay. Does that stop the bombs dropping on children's faces? Does that stop the missiles from firing? Does that stop, the now necessity for Iran to find some kind of exit strategy that involves both maintaining dignity, striking back somehow, but doing it in such a way that they won't actually provoke a full-scale war with America because they know they can't win that and they're not suicidal, and they clearly have shown they're not suicidal by wanting to constantly come back to the negotiating table for negotiations despite the fact that they keep getting spat on. Imagine that, just repeatedly spit on by the U.S. administration. We've signed a nuclear deal. We are going to agree to these terms so that you can ease, all of the sanctions that you have on us. In exchange, we will not be developing nuclear weapons. We're trying to find and forge a new path forward. But it really seems like if we don't have nuclear weapons, y'all are going to Gaddafi us. So it's one of those situations where we're in a very tough bind. What should we do? Okay, cool. We got this agreement. Trump comes into power. He's like, fuck it. Burns the agreement up. And it's like, oh shit. So is nothing valid anymore? Do you have no negotiation? Like, is nothing good faith? What can we do here? But again, they want to re-enter the negotiating table and be like, yes, we would like to be able to negotiate something that doesn't involve a full-scale war with Israel and eventually the United States. And then Israel is like, well, that's happening and it's being negotiated. We're doing a preemptive strike. Boom. Now what you gonna do? Yeah, we struck you. And then Benjamin Netanyahu just cowardly leaves Israel, goes to Greece, and then they unleash hellfire on Israel. And it turns out that they have a lot of weaponry that is very different than Hamas firing a couple fucking rockets from, that gets shot out of the sky. Suddenly there's hyperballistic supersonic missiles flying and exploding. And it, like all of a sudden this has become a real, oh shit, yeah, I didn't know they actually had these kind of capabilities or that they were going to use them on this scale. This is kind of scary. What should we do? Don't worry. The U.S. has your back because, again, they are a terrorist organization. They cannot become nuclear, and we must do everything in our power to prevent that by striking at the heart of their nuclear centers right now using the advanced weaponry of the United States. And we're doing this for peace. Peace through strength. Peace through bombing. Do not attack us back. If you do, that's war. We're allowed to. We're allowed to do whatever the fuck we want, apparently. Just mass bombing of civilian infrastructure, but they're just nuclear sites. Don't worry. There's a very low amount of civilian casualties taking place where we're being strategic. We're actually just effectively trying to remove their ability to ever develop these powerful weapons or have energy, apparently, because, again, a lot of the sites have been shown to actually be sites for generating nuclear power. But either way, I'm not here to defend Iran or its ambitions or that kind of stuff, but I am here to say that it's fucked up that this lie just keeps getting told. It's been told for 30 fucking years and people keep believing it, or they don't want to believe it, but they don't care. MAGA just all of a sudden is like, I trust Trump. I mean, I think he's probably got the best interest of the nation in his heart.
They're going to all push back 100%. And that's what I believed. I believed in rainbows and unicorns. Of course not, Krystal. Of course not. Well, you're trying to move them. Moving the other side is super hard. And so when you see something, anything where they actually...
Right. So you just described why this entire campaign is a fucking joke. It's really, really difficult to convince MAGA to suddenly not be MAGA and support Donald Trump and everything. First thing you said that I agree with, yeah. But it seems as if there is a monstrously huge growing movement in the United States of disaffected liberals who are suddenly like, what the fuck is happening? How did life get so bad? Oh my God, it's oligarchy. There's an oligarchy tour. I'm going to now attend this. There seems to be suddenly support from people who might not even be politically aligned to suddenly fill up these stadiums and be like, I am looking for an alternative. I hate the Democrats. I hate the Republicans. What the fuck is there in terms of another option? That is showing monstrously huge numbers. The largest protest in U.S. history was the fucking No Kings one. That was a lot of libs. Some of them misguided, wanting brunch back and just wanting things to be back to normal, where we didn't have to really think about all the horrifying things we do to other countries and we could just enjoy the brunch. Sure, laugh at that all you want, but at the end of the day, that is a lot more people who are ready for something. They're not entirely sure what, but they are having their lives fucking change before their eyes every single day, when it's like, what I thought was for the benefit of the world, the neoliberal world order actually results in mass death and suffering in a lot of other countries. We just don't talk about it a lot. So what the fuck? Maybe we could change things. Like, that has a lot more growth potential than being like, I can chip away at a couple of these MAGA people to go against Trump because they're populists and they care more about their populism than they do about Trump. They're a cult. They are a full-blown cult at this point. They believe in fairy tales and nonsense. They want to change people's genders while they say they're protecting them. They want to inspect children's genitals. They are absolutely obsessed with what they think is the biggest cause of their problems: immigrants. Meanwhile, they're suddenly going to suffer a lot more. Gas is going to become a lot more expensive. Labor is going to become a lot more expensive when all of a sudden there's this monstrously huge workforce that you're deporting. Everything Trump is doing is effectively just going to trash the US and then the global economy. Like, it's not moving the MAGA movement. You don't see the change.
Actually agree with us. You have to encourage that. So when you say all the things that you said, is Trump a bad guy? Of course, of course. So if you're listening out here, guys, the framing of all of this is totally wrong. Like, we're having a conversation. Do you think Trump's a bad? Of course I think Trump's a bad guy. He's totally authoritarian. That's why I voted against him. That's why I worked so hard against him. So even the framing makes me like sound defensive when you guys started with a premise that's out in la la land. We totally oppose Trump. So now the second part of the premise that's totally wrong is, do I think that MAGA is going to revolt on every issue against Trump from day one? Why? Why would they? They love Trump. Of course not. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for, is there one or two issues where there is actual agreement? And can we take that agreement and do something interesting to restrain Trump in those issues? So when you talk about immigration...
And so when has that worked?
Okay, hold on. Well, we're in the middle of it right now. So I'll tell
we're
you...
at war with Iran, Cenk. Hate to break it to you. We're at war with Iran. It didn't work.
Okay. So, Krystal, let me finish. So when you talk about immigration and all the things that he's terrible on, I know what MAGA's movable on or not. I talk about it on the Young Turks all the time. If you think you're going to move them on immigration, you are nuts. They're not going to move an inch on immigration. So
she's not saying that. She's saying, yeah, no shit, because they're fascist and don't align with them. Or don't comply, or don't fucking run cover for their fascism by being like, a large percentage of them are completely reasonable working class people, and the left honestly is deluded to think that these individuals are not going to actually stand up and fight when the time comes. Okay, the time has come and gone multiple times. We're now deep enough into this administration to know that they are loyal to Trump and Trump only. It doesn't matter if he violates their own desires or beliefs, and they can get mad on social media, but they're not actually materially doing anything to change it.
All of them opposed to the war.
Not,
but you might not, because a lot of people watch programming
got in line
that
so
honestly
fast.
just kind of gives them a misleading sense of what's happening.
Did you see Tucker, Trump saying, Tucker called me to apologize. He said he went too far. Did you see Steve Bannon saying, we're all going to fall in line ultimately? So I'm not talking about, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the however many million Americans voted for Trump. Some of whom are hardcore MAGA, and you will never move them. And I guarantee you, the moment that Trump says, this is the policy, they're going to say, you're right, sir, this is the policy, this is brilliant, and I am on board. Are there independents that can are there independents that can be moved? Yes. There are two separate questions here, okay? Number one is, we are in hell right now. Like, the level of damage that has been done to this country, done to the world, from Trump 2.0 already is astounding. So the number one thing is triage. right? How do we
That's
stop?
what I'm doing.
How do we stop as much damage as we can? And the track
You probably
record
don't know
thus
what that
far
means
in the
either.
Trump administration is the only time he has
what
been
I'm doing.
constrained is through the left and
I am the
liberals
vanguard.
banding together
I'm the
and going
revolution.
through the court system and public pressure. That's it. That's all we've seen in this administration. The other question
Okay, can I
is
address
how
that?
do you win elections? So go ahead and address that, and we can talk about the election piece. But real quick, before you get in, as to the earnestness of this MAGA anti-war movement, put element number 3 up on the screen. Do you know? Tell me how many Republicans
Thank you.
have signed on to the War Powers Resolution?
One.
Is Marjorie Taylor Greene? No. Is Lauren Boebert there? No. One. Thomas Massey, a libertarian who is, ideologically consistent, kind of similar ideologically to Dave Smith. Every other person here is a Democrat. So
Yeah,
to
I
the
know that.
earnestness of this anti-war MAGA coalition and their commitment
But you-
It
to
doesn't
blocking
exist.
war with
Krystal,
Iran,
you drive me crazy.
here is where the rubber meets the road.
Yep.
You have
Yeah.
one Republican who is already at odds with Trump, who is willing to put his name on this war powers resolution. That's it.
So, Krystal,
And he's
look,
getting
I
attacked
know you don't mean
by
it,
other
but
Republicans.
you keep conflating two things. The Republican politicians, including Trump, and the Republican voters, or the people who voted for Trump, okay? So are the Republican...
Jesus Christ, they're not hitting the streets, Cenk. Where is the protests? Where is the "we will not die for Israel"? We refuse to follow Trump's orders. MAGA is revolting. Here we go. Non-existent. And again, if you're talking about the pundits, because he likes bringing the pundits up too, they are not telling their audiences to vote for these bills. Because you know why? Those bills would restrict Donald Trump's power, and they don't want that. So they can just say out loud, well, I'm America first. I'm not for this. But at the end of the day, it does seem like Trump is actually kind of doing strategic precision strikes, and ultimately he must know what he's doing and the art of the deal. And come on, the guy, we got to trust our president.
Politicians corrupt? Of course they're corrupt. Are they going to say, hey, Israel, I'll be your bitch and I'll do whatever the hell you want me to do? Of course they are. They're completely owned by Israel, okay? So AIPAC, et cetera, the warmongers, by the way, let's be honest, is more than half the Democratic Party totally owned by AIPAC? Yes, right? So I know, oh my God, oh no, you can't be honest. You have to just say the other side is...
What are you talking about? No, it isn't questioning. I challenge that assertion. Sir, how dare you say that of the Democrats? No, they fucking suck too. Jesus.
terrible, and our side is angels. No, I'm not going to play that.
Would you
That's
rather?
nonsense.
But would you rather be on the side
Straw
of the
man.
37
Straw man.
who signed onto the War Powers
But,
Resolution, or
Krystal,
the
I am on the
one?
side of the 37. Everything
you?
you frame is a straw man. I am on the side of the 37. In fact, Ro Khanna is my top ally. Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna and I had the same exact strategy that you criticized in November when we
That's not
talked.
true.
You literally put me, and Kyle did the same thing. You guys put me in the same bucket as Bernie and Ro, reaching out to see if we can find agreement on the
But
right.
what else?
You're right,
But what
we are
else
in the
has
same
Bernie
bucket.
done? What else has Bernie done that has been profoundly impactful? The anti-oligarch, the Fight Oligarchy tour, which was an
That's what
effort
I
to
do for a
bind together
living.
the left and the liberals to protest and to resist this administration, and that has been profoundly more
Krystal, you're having a
impactful.
conversation with a
Lulu
person who
is off
isn't
the
here.
charts.
Did the Pentagon budget get cut? Just tell me that. What's the Pentagon
So-
budget?
no, but
Did it
Krystal,
get
hold
cut?
on. You've now asked me 28
Did Don,
questions.
did
Let
Don
me answer
Jr.
them.
Did he do whatever
Okay.
with the generals? Did that work out?
All right, guys, look.
Yeah, I mean, you can pull up all those tweets where he was basically, again, already collaborating in advance and straight up being like, you see, I have never had a single Democrat ask me what I want to do in regards to the military budget. And I've got two people here, Donald Trump Jr. and Elon Musk, who were replying to him on Twitter being like, yeah, tell us some more. What are your ideas? Yeah, we've also wanted to reduce the military budget of the United States. He increased it. So it was for nothing. Absolute for nothing.
I came on here because, look, you're generally fair. So you asked me 28 questions, and then let me answer them. So, and stop framing it as if I'm a different person. You keep making all these assumptions about who are you on the Republican side or the
I'm
Democratic?
literally
No, I'm always on
citing
the Democratic
things
side.
that you said, Cenk.
Yep.
Like I played your clip
Oh,
of what you
Jesus
said.
Christ, man.
Turn to the camera.
Okay,
Hey,
I'm
tell me if
right
I'm
here,
wrong.
Krystal.
This
Krystal,
specifically.
I'm right here. I'm
Cenk.
right here. Can I talk? for myself instead of you.
You
like,
specifically held on the
at
Pentagon
this
budget.
point,
Can I speak for myself instead of whoever that other guy was? I don't know who you were playing before, but I want to say this in my own words, okay? I don't know who that guy was. I don't agree with him.
at this point, borderline lying about me in every framing of every question. Can I actually?
It was a clip of you. It was. I don't want to be disingenuous and try to, change the words you've said. So I'm just going to play the clip if you're okay with that, so we can actually hear what you said out loud. All right. So will you agree that you were just fundamentally wrong on every single point that you make in this clip?
I'm lying.
A human being named
How am I
Cenk
lying?
Uygur
Tell
actually
me I'm
answer your
lying.
questions instead of you framing
Tell me how I'm lying,
me as a
Cenk.
person that doesn't exist.
Cenk,
Okay.
I played the clip of you talking, so tell me how I'm lying.
Okay. All right. So now, of all your questions, you have this fantasy land that Trump was like, oh, the left thinks Abrego Garcia's, I've treated him wrong. I surrender, left. Are you, come on, what planet do you live on?
Never said that either.
No, the courts
Again.
are not left or right. The courts have held. I'm thrilled that the courts have held. And it was so important for the courts. So
I love his debate strategy of just throwing the word straw man out there a lot as he just lobs nothing but straw men. Here's a whole straw army, straw people. You got it. All going to be random things that you have not said, implied. You've never actually said this before, but that's what you're trying to say. Look, do you think that and it's like, no, but what about the words you said out loud in the clip that you said? Because that's what we're referencing here.
Courts to hold. So if they didn't hold on that, he was going to have unlimited authoritarian power. And we are against that, no matter how many times people try to pretend that we're on the side of Trump.
Most lethal
Listen
army
to
in
what
the
I am
world.
actually saying. And you will see this every day on the Young Turks. I am against Trump. Totally. Okay. Now, okay. Yes, but why do you love Trump will be the next question. Okay.
Did I ask that? Cenk,
okay,
talk
so
about a
now,
straw
hold on,
man. I
hold
mean,
on.
you're making up stuff I never
Let me
He's got a
ask
said.
you
straw army in
Come
his
What's the
head.
point of coming on here if I can't answer your question?
Because you're fighting yourself, like whatever demons you're battling up here. Now you're gonna call me a Nazi, and you're gonna say, "Oh, then why do you love Trump?" It's like no one has said this to you. Who are you talking to right now? Who are you yelling at?
I'm giving you plenty of time to answer, brother. You're making up stuff about me. I didn't say that.
Okay,
So you want to
Jesus
talk about
Christ,
straw men?
Crystal.
You're
This is
inventing
it's a
things on the
mistake
spot.
talking to you guys. It's a mistake.
Oh,
So
okay.
now
It's a
when
mistake,
you're
but Charlie
talking
Kirk.
about the Pentagon cuts, do you think that I thought, oh my God, Elon's such a good guy. And Trump's such a good guy, even though I've spoken out against them at every single turn. And then I magically thought, oh, I bet they become liberals overnight, progressives overnight. No, you put out the Pentagon thing so that they're stuck either way. That's why Bernie and Roe joined me. Because either they cut the Pentagon, we
Thank
go,
you.
yes, mission accomplished. We got a tiny, tiny amount accomplished during a Trump reign.
By the way, that's not what happened. He was gushing at the fact that he got reply guys out of Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. Like he even made an entire proclamation, just like, yeah, the orthodoxy of the left will tell you that I'm not supposed to speak to these people. Yet I've never had a Democrat reach out and ask for my opinion on the Department of Defense budget. And it's like, they're playing you. You're such an easy mark. You're such a fantastic mark. You don't even recognize that it's happening in real time, and you're doing everything they want in the process. And then when other leftists start to criticize you and tell you, you were a mark, sir, they're playing you. You're like, oh, of course you would say that I love Trump, and you don't realize my strategy. And it's like, no, everyone knows. No one is saying the things that you think that they're saying about you.
Impossible. Or they don't cut the Pentagon and they add to it. And then we all come out, as I did and Bernie and Roe did, and go, see, we told you. They're hypocrites. The leaders of your party never intended to cut the Pentagon. MAGA, they were lying to you. Now,
Now, does
Krystal,
MAGA care, Cenk? Did that work? Did
So
MAGA
yes,
care?
they do care.
No, they don't.
No, okay, Krystal.
I've seen zero
That's
pushback on the
deluded.
Pentagon budget. Let me just say,
Okay, can I-
because I let you go on for a little while.
Oh, I know.
There
God
were
forbid I got to answer one or
there
two
were
questions.
two,
Go ahead.
there were two tactics that were floated by me and by you in our conversation. Okay, you said, I think it's great that Elon's responding to me, Don Jr.'s responding to me. Like
Because it puts
we
them on
have
the
more,
record.
we have a more of a chance. No, you said we have more of a chance with these guys to cut the Pentagon budget than we don't. And I said nothing good's going to come out of this. And so the important thing to do is to resist the project outright, because we don't want a bunch of the richest man on the planet running our government. And so we saw how this played out.
Yeah,
The Pentagon,
that's
hold
right.
on. The Pentagon did not get cut. And actually what happened is all of the liberal and left organizing against Tesla, against the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, against Elon directly, tanked his popularity to the point that Trump felt he was a political liability and the whole project had to be scrapped. So the tactic of let's work with them and try to cut the Pentagon budget failed. The tactic of let's resist this project outright and make the case and make Elon himself politically toxic succeeded.
So, Krystal, we do live in two different worlds. It's fascinating to see. It's amazing to see. So, number one, the project
Reality,
of
Delulu.
saying cut the Pentagon
Two worlds.
worked. Why did it work? Because they cut the Pentagon, it magically became progressives overnight? No. It worked because it showed and highlighted their hypocrisy, that they weren't going to cut the Pentagon. And now I get it, guys. Especially if you're in the audience, you're not seeing it. I get it. And I'm not saying that as an insult. You're not seeing it.
So
because
you
you're not
won
engaging.
because the Pentagon budget
kind of
went up,
sad.
even though you thought that the Pentagon budget would get cut.
Can I finish? Okay. So the reason you're not seeing it is because you're not engaging with MAGA, and that's okay. And you don't want to engage
Cenk,
with MAGA. I got it.
Do
Okay,
you know who I am?
no.
Do you know the show I host?
I don't know if you know who you are.
Who are you talking to right now? I
Okay,
host
all
a
right.
show with Sagar Enjeti and Emily
So,
Jasinski
okay,
every day.
okay, so Krystal,
No
I'm
one in
just
this
saying-
room talks more.
You don't get it. You don't want to engage with MAGA. I literally have a show with a right winger where we just disagree and debate on issues and then try to find where we can agree. It's the template for my entire fucking career. What are you talking about? No, you don't want to talk to them. You don't have a beer with them. I have beers with them. I know what's going on. Everything she's saying is 100% true. There is nothing materially changing or happening even on the ground, either by MAGA voters, Republicans, Republican politicians, or Republican pundits to try and actually effectively limit Trump's power. None of them are doing that. So as long as you want to say like we can work with this, there's room that we can get them to revolt against their own president because ultimately they're populist, it turned out to be a massive ass disaster. And now at this point you can pretty much just be like, hey, you know what? It's tough, and I know sometimes we try what we can. I was wrong. I got to say that out loud. MAGA is in fact not a populist movement. Everyone who was making fun of me, saying that I fell for Mussolini's whole trains will run on time thing, you were right. I fell for the trains will run on time thing. They're not running on time. He is going to war with Iran. He is effectively just destroying the U.S. economy. He's doing an authoritarian takeover. He's sending the military against his own people. This is fascism. This is fascism 101, as clear as anyone can see now. The rest of the world is accurately reporting on this in case we're not doing it domestically. And now, yes, effectively, we need to change our strategy.
The MAGA than I do, okay?
Yeah. Okay. But okay. So are you saying that none of the MAGA voters were thrilled that they added to the Pentagon? Is that what you're saying?
They don't give a shit
I'm
because
saying
Trump did it.
Elon and
Yeah,
Trump.
no, you guys were wrong.
Elon
They
and
didn't
Trump
like
and
that at
Don
all.
Jr., Cenk, lied to you from the beginning when
Yes.
they
Of
pretended
course
like
they
there
did.
was even a 1% chance of it. So when people told you at the time, though, resist them outright and point out that they're frauds.
Okay,
Don't
so
pretend like
this
maybe
is
they'll
so
cut it.
stupid.
That was kind of the point.
You guys have a totally ridiculous, All right, let me not be insulting. We disagree on strategy. Okay,
Definitely,
so,
yes.
Okay, yeah. This whole idea that you're making a difference because Donald Trump is listening to the left, I can't believe you guys think that. That sounds
God.
totally detached from reality.
I'll make that case
why
in a
is
minute.
Why is Elon Musk out? Because people burn Tesla cars? I mean, Krystal, you said that.
Not what she
Are
said.
you serious?
Every single
no,
time.
Elon's out because his policies were always deeply unpopular. No one wanted
Again,
those.
he's just fighting demons. Just fighting his own demons. And then it's just, that's why it's so hard to try and talk sense to him. Because he's like, oh, sorry, I never said that. No, I know what you want to say. You want to say I'm a Nazi. And that apparently the only thing that worked was burning the Teslas. You're delusional.
Those cuts.
Yeah,
Deep
and who
MAGA
pressed that
wanted
case?
them, and they're in
Cenk,
La La Land.
Cenk, and who pressed that case?
The
It was
left
the
and
left and
liberals
liberals
in the street.
Joe Rogan hosted him on his podcast to pump
Yeah,
him up.
guys,
Joe Rogan,
guys,
think
you're
about,
doing this-
but Cenk, think
You're
about
doing
this.
this
Think about this.
unbelievable straw man. You're
No,
doing this
no, no,
so-
no.
Don't know
Hold on,
what
can I
that
just
means.
finish?
Let me
No.
just finish my thought here.
feel like
okay.
Krystal wanted to say that
Rogan
there.
hosted Zuckerberg and Andreessen to attack the
Of course he did.
CFPB.
Of course he did.
gut and
You think
attack
he's
the
gonna be a Bernie
CFPB?
Sanders progressive overnight?
No,
Are
but
you
it's-
insane? No, guys.
Are you
have this
insane?
straw
You were the
man
one who barely.
that-
Right, but I think you just gave the game away there. You're running cover for some of the worst human beings on the planet right now, and you're doing it under the guise that they will be changeable eventually. we can get them back on our team. Come on. I know it really seems like they were just waiting for an opportunity to throw all of the things like civil rights and other stuff that they pretend to care about. Look at how every single tech bro all of a sudden overnight was like, we're going to the Trump inauguration. By the way, I don't give two fucks about protecting minorities on my platform. Go to town. You can say all of the slurs. You can do all of the transphobia, all the homophobia. It is now fair game. Go nuts. Meta 3.0. Enjoy. And then every other social media guys up there, Elon Musk already turned Twitter into the Nazi app, one after another. They've all fallen in line, and it seems like they're really interested in one key thing, and this is something that it doesn't matter what is changing in the world of politics, you can use this as a guiding star. Money, capitalism, maintaining their shareholder value, maintaining market dominance in their particular fields, and doing anything to keep that. Doesn't matter if it can fuck over or even kill lots of human beings. Doesn't matter if it destabilizes society. Because if they don't do it, their competitors will. So you don't want to be the only tech bro who wasn't at that fucking inauguration pledging allegiance to Donald Trump to usher in this dark new age where it's like, guess what? The future and the entire US stock market is propped up on a lie. It's our entire idea that we can keep on telling you to build these massive data centers that are going to make the entire world get revolutionized by AI because we just want to pump slop and fake news into your brains now and not have you able to discern or have any media literacy as to what is going on in the world. We are now just effectively going to do that because we think it'll increase our shareholder value, and that's all that's important to us. We don't care about humanity. They never will. There is a certainly demonstrable certain amount of money that eventually people acquire, and once they become billionaires, they think of the rest of humanity as ants, as expendable ones and zeros to exploit. That's how you become a billionaire. And once you're there, you want to concentrate your power as much as possible. This is a really easy thing to follow, but as soon as you start adding all this, I think that deeply and deep down that they are populists and they want to fight for the people and that maybe there's a chance they could become this or that. No. They are opportunists, and the opportunists at one point thought it was a better opportunity to pretend to be like progressive libs, to be like, we care deeply about the way black people are treated on our platforms. We care deeply about the way homosexuals are treated on our platforms. We don't want people to have negative experiences or get cyberbullied or have to contemplate, suicide by being on our platform. So we're going to try and make these as safe an experience as possible for everybody in this market. In another market, we're just going to test out wild shit and see if we can actually instigate full-blown coups and genocides. Well, then it turns out that we can. And so we have this really superpower that not a lot of other people have, and the ability to basically control the speech of humanity while everyone argues for free speech coming from the outside. It's just beautiful, the system that's
Cenk, if anything is going to be populist, hold on, Cenk. Let me finish a thought. If anything, if the populist right stands for anything, you would think it would be an anti-scam bureau that is wildly effective. But no, and actually stood up against debanking conservatives. But no, what did Rogan do, and what did they cheer for with Elon with the chainsaw? Completely gutting not only the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Trump gutting the National Labor Relations Board, but them defenestrating the ability of this government to enforce white-collar crime at all. Did MAGA care? No. They didn't. The only people that held them to account were left and liberals who organized against that and, yes, successfully made Elon so toxic that he ultimately crashed down of the administration. That's what happened.
So let me try explaining it this way and see if I can get through to you guys. So you keep telling me all the things that Trump did wrong. Of course he did. So I'm saying that it's a given that he's always going to do, for example, 90% of things massively wrong. And in the other 10% that he plans to do wrong, I'm saying we have a fighter's chance if we ally and we show hypocrisy or we get allies. It's a win-win either way, okay? So for example, in opposing the war, either they become our allies
the anti-MAGA
and
coalition
somehow at some point we stop this war, or we show, you guys.
Totally delusional. Again, she's like, hey, there have been proven effective strategies that have actually limited or challenged Trump's authoritarian takeover. Here they are. They don't involve the right or MAGA at all. Look, I just have to keep on fighting and know that we can build a coalition of MAGA who are anti-Trump. The most deluded thing ever.
You guys never meant it. Now you're the pro-war party, which makes us much more likely to win over independents and win the next election. But as I say that, you keep framing it as if I agree with them 90%. and where I think that I'm going to flip them
No, you're
overnight
complying
on
in
the
advance.
90% where we
You're
disagree.
still doing it.
No, there's no chance.
You're doing
of
it
that,
after
so
it's
you
been
can stop asking
demonstrably
that
a
question.
massive failure.
They're not going to move on cutting the budget, and they're not going to listen that, hey, you know what, you shouldn't cut the malaria treatment in Africa, you shouldn't cut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
They don't care.
Because every dollar we spend there, we get
Hundreds
back
of thousands
$20,
of deaths are predicted from
etc.
that.
But if you go with your maximalist approach, guys, and you say, all right, I'm fighting you in a maximum way, so that means I'm never going to agree with you. I'm going to insult you at every turn. I'm not going to listen to you. So when you come in and you go, hey, guys, let's ally against the war, or maybe did you think that Elon's and I said this in every right-wing talk show that I did, and I said it at the Charlie Kirk event, I said, remember, beware of your own donors like Elon Musk. And then eventually they got aware of their own donors. Now, did they do it magically and overnight? No, it was mainly a 25% or so. Are they going to kiss his ass on everything? Well, of course they are. They're on the right, and their whole ecosystem is based on kissing politicians and leaders' asses. Now, let's be honest, not us and not you guys, but MSNBC and now a lot of online hosts on the left, their job is to kiss the Democratic ass. And they say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden was young and dynamic, etc. So yes, we have the partisans, and they are, by definition, always going to stick with one side is great, the other side is the devil.
Your issue is with David Pakman and Pod Save America, not the left, where he's just like, it just seems like a lot of the people they just serve to basically be apologists for the Democrats and, attack Republicans, but ultimately they won't even call out their own. There was fucking monster-ass protests internationally around the world to stop the genocide in Gaza. And a lot of that was happening from, yes, the supporters of those same parties.
Okay, so now when you get to the 25% of hosts, because now the reason I moved it from 10 to 25 because you're including Rogan, etc.
Math.
So is Rogan the same as Steve Bannon? If you think he is, that's just totally wrong. Now, do they agree on a lot of things? Yes. Do they agree on everything? No. Does Steve Bannon right about most things? No, he's horribly, horribly wrong about most things. So will they, when Trump says heal, will they heal? In the beginning, yes, and that's exactly what you're saying. But the reason they're having to heal is because they started rebelling in the first place. And Trump got mad, and everybody else got mad. And even today, you just go on any website. So Bannon is saying don't go to war. It's terrible. You see, then say, oh, Donald Trump. Of course he is, because he's on that side. And did we see a lot of
none of them have actually spoken strongly out against Trump. They're all saying, like, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene's statements. I'm America first. I don't want forever wars, so that's why I believe in America first. And it's like, okay, do something. Fucking do something. You just sitting there being like, I'm America first. You're being pulled into a war from the MAGA movement right now. Donald Trump and the administration are the ones in power. They're the ones going to war with Iran. Are you just going to sit back and continuously, well, I was America first. I'm proud. I said it. I said it out loud on Twitter.
Leading hosts go, oh, well, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are corporate guys and they're bad, but we have to go with them anyway. Yes, we did. But look, you have to be honest about what's actually happening. So if you guys are saying, I'm not trying to strawman you guys like you did, in my opinion, in the framing of every question. So I'm asking you, you're saying it's all fake and you think that all these right-wing hosts are not actually anti-war, but they've been telling their audience now for months that the war is a terrible. Let me ask the question. And that the war is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And how would that strategy work? So they get their audience totally against the war, then they capitulate to Trump.
Let me tell you how that strategy works.
How did that help them be pro-war?
Let me explain. Let me explain how
My
that strategy works.
answer to your question is yes, by the way. In 99% of cases, they are just lying, and they'll go and suck Trump off again.
So let me...
That's a real disagreement.
Jake,
they're already backing off, and the war didn't even start yet. We didn't even bomb the nuclear sites yet. They're already backing off.
How this strategy works, okay? They postured as anti-war because they thought it was a good electoral strategy. So now they have some track record laid of claiming that Trump is the pro-peace candidate, blah, blah, blah.
And why was it a good strategy?
Because
their voters are anti-war.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, the polling is wildly at odds with you, Cenk, on that. We can come back to that in a second. But okay, so they this is the pro-peace ticket, whatever. And I think there were a lot of independents actually who were swayed by that anti-war message, which was completely at odds with reality and with Trump's first term. I think we all agree with that. Okay, so I think there were independent voters who were swayed by that. Charlie Kirk and others now, to maintain some credibility, They have to postulate, oh, you know, Trump is getting pulled into this and the neocons are tricking him and confusing him,
It's
etc.
never his fault.
But we already know how this plays out because it's already played out. Trump called Tucker kooky and said he needs to get a TV network, basically saying he's a has-been. Tucker called him to apologize. That was a message not just to Tucker, but to everybody else. Time to bend the knee, time to get on board. And they did. They did.
Yeah.
So we don't have to guess. It's already happened. It's already played out.
All right,
They've already bent the knee.
Okay, so we're now actually approaching an actual disagreement rather than the one that was foisted upon me that I don't like. So, all right, so guys, you think that all these guys and their voters are all liars, and that they're not actually.
I don't know why you lump in the voters because
I'm talking about the voters.
Okay, well let's talk about
the voters.
Talk about the voters then.
Let
me ask you a really simple question. Let me ask you a really simple question about the voters.
Yeah, well, you of course you like the Trump and the Republicans.
Which
part?
That's
them.
not
No,
what
I don't.
I said.
Stop saying it.
Cenk,
you said
let me ask a really basic question.
37-1 vote. You said how many Republicans voted
one.
war powers? I said one, Tom Massey, and you kept going like, oh, did you know that they didn't? I said yeah. I said I answered
because
it
they're
from the
fake.
get-go. So
but
yes,
Cenk,
their voters.
Let me ask you this question.
Saying that their voters are not anti-war at all. So be clear.
So let me ask you this question.
Let me ask you this question.
Let me ask you this question.
Are you saying they're actually liars?
Let me ask you this question. Which base, the Democratic Party base or the Republican Party base, which one do you think is more opposed right now to war with Iran? Which one?
The left. It's not even close.
It's not even close. Exactly. That's the point. And so if you are going to build, if you're going to build a grassroots people-powered movement with bodies in the streets to oppose war, where do you need to go for those numbers? The left, because they're already there with you. And by the way, the MAGA base, the minute that Trump says we're in a war with Iran, they are going to overwhelmingly back him because they have every single
you have
time.
The numbers already.
Yeah, so put up 8. This is element 8, I believe, for us. These are the poll numbers. Now, there are other polls out there, I grant you, but this is among Trump 2024 voters. You ask them, do you support or oppose the U.S. providing offensive weapons to help Israel strike Iranian military targets? What we're doing now, 79% support. Do you support or oppose the U.S. taking its own direct military action, if necessary, to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons? That's exactly the framing that Trump is using right now. Support 72%. They are more pro-war. So are there some who, don't want to get in another foreign entanglement? Sure. But overwhelmingly, are they going to back an Iran war? Are they already backing an Iran war because Trump says so? 100%.
Okay, so let's establish who we're talking about. So when you talk about Trump and the Republican politicians, 99% of them are liars. They're going to be pro-war. They're going to do all the terrible things that we're against, that we are all against, including me. Okay. Now, when you move to the media, I'm out on a limb, and I get it. If you grant them an inch, people will say, okay, that's it. You love them, and you're a Trump supporter, et cetera. But I'm doing it anyway because I'm being honest. I think 75% of them are unreachable, but 25% of them, at a minimum, actually will listen to you, have their own audience pushing them to be anti-war. They're not with us on all issues. They're not with us on most issues. But on war, I think that a significant chunk of them are with us. Okay, so when you go to Charlie Kirk's audience, for example, why is Charlie Kirk even dipping his toe into the waters of opposing Trump's policy on Iran and then quickly rushing back out? The quickly rushing back out is obvious. They're ass kissers, right? So the question is, why did he dip his toe in the first place? Because he did a poll of his own audience, and his audience said 90-10 do not help Israel go to war with Iran. 90-10. That's his audience. Okay. So now you move to the last category, which are the voters themselves.
I was going to use this as an example, but you already know that. But then this is directly disproving your theory. Because I saw the same thing. I saw him do what a lot of the cowards were doing, which is like, oh shit, I don't want to fuck over my own audience that I built, so I got to know where they stand on this first. How do you feel about this? Wow, 90% don't want to go to the war with Iran. I do have to support Donald Trump though, so how do I? Okay, you know what? I'll say I trust the president. That's patriotic. It sounds good. No one can really disagree with it. Everyone ultimately loves Trump in our camp. So that we are MAGA and we are Trump. And yeah, I can also say that like I think this could be a mistake. And I think that like, there are some things that people will disagree with. But ultimately, I am just going to toe the line.
That is where I am most hopeful that they actually are anti-war.
Yeah, it was a Twitter
Now,
poll.
does that mean 100% of them are anti-war? No, not at all, okay? But I think a solid 50% of Trump voters.
And what Kyle and Krystal are saying are that you have an enormous amount, a massive base of people who are galvanized, ready, and active who want to protest. The largest protest in U.S. history was the No Kings one. It seems like there is a coalition that could be built here, especially with a lot of anti-war people who are starting to wake up. A lot of libs who are starting to realize, holy shit, the whole neoliberal world order is a disaster. Maybe there's a better way. Now, are a lot of them still going to be war hawkish neolibs in perpetuity and suddenly going silent the second that everything that is happening now would be happening under a Democrat, like funding ICE or doing mass deportations or stuff like that? Well, then all of a sudden the media just like calms down a little bit on the liberal side of things, and then everyone gets to go to brunch and enjoy their lives. Yeah, a percentage will be. But if you're looking at just the raw maths, if it's like we have two paths before us and we have to build a coalition of people who want to stop all the forever wars, to limit this authoritarian fascist from continuing to expand his dictatorship, there you go. To then be like, I think we can work on some of these MAGA people. We chip away one or two of them. Okay. Just like what is going to be like the coalition of the 12, like literally 12 dudes who are just like, I don't know how I feel about this as much anymore, and we got ourselves a coalition. We do
Remember, a lot of them are independents, or a lot of them are in somewhere in the spectrum. At least 50% of them are actually anti-war. So what I'm seeing is all over social media, all over the right-wing shows,
zero protests,
their own base
zero bills
in an
being
uprising.
proposed, zero
Why
pushing for bills that exist
Charlie
already.
Kirk Tucker and Bannon are doing those things? They're almost all of them are saying on their own shows, well, you guys are pushing me to do this, and yeah, I hear you guys. We were supposed to be anti-war, right? Now, they're gonna, guys, since this is like the first 6 months, are they gonna go run back to daddy? Of course they're gonna run back to daddy, right? So what we're trying to do is not turn all of them against all of Trump's policies instantly, because that is wildly unrealistic. You are trying to either flip them or show hypocrisy to the voters that you can reach on the issues where they agree with us. There aren't that many, but war is.
Yeah, it's utter gibberish. This is the end too, so I wanted to see how the sign off was.
Percent of the Republican base will be in favor of it. That's what I'm saying about it. But I want to ask
Cenk is
you,
delusional
when Trump
and
does bomb
unwilling
Iran,
to admit that he
do
was
you
just
think
so
the number
wrong
among
on this
Republicans
issue.
will stay
Good
at
job to
only
Krystal and Kyle for
50% supporting
exposing
it, or is it going to go up to 70 or 80%? Hey guys, this is just a little piece of an apple.
Oh, a little taste. It was a tasty taste. Thank you, Krystal and Kyle. So yeah, entirely true. Also, for the people right now who are trying to, be war hawkish in the other direction, I mean, there are a lot of Democrats who are refusing to sign on to this. That is true. And there are a lot of Democrats who are more than happy to see a full-scale war with Iran, because they, again, have been wanting to support Israel in a war with Iran for a very long time. They are also coward, war hawkish, and ultimately trying to push for war crimes. So fuck them all. There's nothing to praise them for. I've seen people be like, well, the strikes that Israel did in their preemptive strike against Iran were of such incredible military precision that we
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's